just to make sure everything's going. Now we're able to broadcast. There are right now 5 participants. Hi, everybody. So, Chris, what have you been doing all day today?
Today I was mostly getting ready for our broadcast today.
So, any plans this weekend?
Well, it's Father's Day this weekend, right?
Yeah, it's all about me. Don't forget it.
So we're obviously going fishing before everybody shows up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just try to get a little bit out, let everybody, not that everybody's like coming to the house, since we're still under quarantine until they said Bucks County will open up June 26th. I mean, starting to get emails stating that a lot of the businesses are starting to open up. So it's just around the corner that we'll be allowed to travel, but make sure you have your precautions, your safe distancing, and you wear your mask in public.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So with that, it's 8 o'clock. I'd like to get started. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the FFI Online, where we've been doing at least once a week. We've been showing some live webinars on fly fishing, tying, casting, places to go. And I'd like to tell everybody that it's the because of our membership and our funds that our membership dollars have, that this is able to be done for everybody. So if you're a member, I'd like to thank you for this, to give us all the opportunity to keep together during this trying time. And if you're not a member and you enjoy our programs, jump on the website and become a member. So with that, I just want to add one more thing. At the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A. You can, since this is a webinar, there is no interaction by voice. So you'll click on the Q&A, post your question, and my son Christopher will read them off to me in between, like little breaks. He'll try to get my attention, and we'll stop what I'm doing and we'll answer the questions. So with that, I would like to start with a little program, PowerPoint. And any day now. Here we go. So the program is 3 ways to tie a parachute fly. There are multiple ways, and it's always the hardest, where we end up trying to tie this pattern onto a wing post. Now there are other flies, such as like a sparkle dun, that doesn't even use any hackle, which is all deer hair for the wing, the body, and an antron tail. Now the thing with this is, it kind of does what the parachute does, where it shows the full body on the water. So here are the 2 different types of flies. This is the original Catskill light Cahill. And as you see, the Catskill flies, the hackle is tied on the vertical, wrapped around the shank of the hook. This is great for like broken water. But when you start looking at slower moving water and you want to have a nice soft presentation, the parachute pattern is your answer. The body is flush against the water. The hackle will slow it down onto the water, and the hackles will help keep it afloat. And a little adding of either a yarn or a hair will help this float better. So these are the 3 patterns we're going to tie tonight, talk about. One is the light Cahill, which is I'm going to tie it. I'll show you how I tied it traditionally to the shank of the hook. The second one's the purple haze, which is two hackles, a brown and a grizzly, but I'm going to tie that to the wing post. I'm going to whip finish it to the wing post. And the third, I happened to learn back in November. I saw Jim Collier do it at the fly fishing show, the fly tying expo, where he just put UV resin, wrapped the hackle around the hook, and hit it with the UV light. So with that, I'm going to switch over to how to tie the traditional. Okay. Here we go. Now, this fly, this is how I learned to tie parachute flies. So the first way, this is the light Cahill, and as you see, the tail, the body, the hackle tied at the horizontal. The materials, I'm using just a dry fly hook, in this case, Dai-Ricci, cream color Antron body, hackle is cream, wing post is a calf tail wing, and the thread, you could use anything from 6/0 to 8/0, whether it be the nylon or uni thread. So I put tie the thread about a hook length behind. I'll put a little thread on the shank of the hook, and then I'll get it to the 2/3 mark, so that when I stack the piece of calf tail hair, white, and I measure it to the shank of the hook, and now I'll mark it. I'll move my left hand to the spot of how long it's going to be. Measure twice, cut once, they always say. Now I'll secure it at the 2/3 mark, or 1/3 away from the eye, using the pinch method between your thumb and index finger, and letting your thread slide along your index finger. Then I'll go back a few wraps and secure the butt sections into place. And at that point, you'll see that I will trim it at an angle so that my body will be tapered. So then I'll lift up the wing, and I'll put a jam knot to hold this up. And then I'll take my thread and I'll wrap around the base of the calf tail, giving this a nice spot for me to tie in the hackle. And Chris, if there are any questions, go right ahead and let me know.
There was a question about a rundown of the materials real quick again.
Okay, no problem. So once the wing is in place, I'm going to take the thread, I'm going to take the hackle, and I'm going to tie it on the near side behind, and I'm going to secure it behind the wing post. So this is a cream rooster hackle. And I'm securing that right to behind the wing. Run the thread down a little bit, and then I'm going to lift the hackle up and secure that to the base of the wing post. This will help me when I do wrap it, that it'll go from the top to the bottom, and I can go underneath each wrap. And then I'm going to trim the stem off.
How tall would you say that is with the wing post?
That wing post is the shank of the hook, if that's the question that was asked. So that's how high it is. All right. Then I brought the thread to the bend of the hook. I took about a dozen hackle fibers from a rooster feather. They're long, like on the sides of the neck. I measured it to be the length of the shank of the hook, and now using the pinch method, I will secure it to the bend of the hook. Trick is, your first wrap at the bend should be loose, and then as you go up towards the wing post, tighten them up. I like to throw a thread wrap underneath the tail to help make sure that it stays standing up and keeps it straight in line. Next, I'm going to be using, this is an Antron yarn. It's a light Cahill color cream. And I'm really twisting that on tight. Now, my first wrap, I will hold the tail in place, and I'm going to wrap it right by the bend of the hook. The bend of the hook is right where the barb is. That's why I did not mash it down. When I do tying demonstrations, I do not mash the barb so everybody can see where the body, where the bend of the hook is. So now, to help speed this up, the body has been dubbed, and I'll just try to back up just a bit. So from the bend of the hook, I go right to where the body is. So let me just go through that. Twisting it all in one direction. I don't use wax so that I could slide the materials up faster. Hold the tail, and I will wrap once, and now I'm going to go forward towards the body. And what happens is I would keep doing that until I get to the wing post. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to tie in the hackle, and I'm wrapping this hackle counterclockwise if you're right-handed. Left-handed would be the total opposite, but right-handed is counterclockwise. So each wrap goes underneath the previous wrap. And if you have any, Krista, are there any questions that came up?
Yes. So how important is the size of the hackle in this case?
The hackle size here, since this is a size 12, I'm actually using a size 12 hackle. You got a lot of leeway with a parachute. Since the hackle really isn't holding the fly up, you can go from a size 12, you could drop it down to a 14. I wouldn't go past, I wouldn't go to a 10. That would be way too much. So you can go from 12 to 14 is what I would do. Now, since, as you see, as I bring the thread over the shank of the hook to secure the hackle tip in, all the fibers slide out of the way that are wrapped around the base of the wing post. So what I just trimmed was the hackle tip. Give it a little tug, look at it. All those fibers that are sticking over the eye are from the hackle tip. We can just trim them right off. And please make sure you don't trim or cut your thread. I know I do it a lot.
And with the hackle, when a right-handed person's doing it counterclockwise, why specifically would a right-handed person do it counterclockwise?
All right, that's a very good question. What happens here is, as you saw when I, let's see if I can bring this back just a bit. Okay. Watch. Trying to get it. Now watch how the thread, when I go to secure the hackle tip, watch the hackle fibers just fold out of the way because they are counterclockwise. If I tied them the other way, they would get caught by the thread. If I tied them clockwise, those fibers would not fold out of the way. Okay? Does that help?
Sure, it does.
And then the tip gets trimmed. And like I said, the fibers that are hanging over are from the tip, not from the hackle that's been wound around the base of the wing post.
And speaking of the post, could you use any other materials for that, like maybe a turkey flat, or is it?
No, in fact, this one, the next one I use calf body hair, and the third one I use poly yarn. You can use turkey flats, and if you really want to be creative, you could use you could use actual hen tips if you really want to deal with wrapping it around and having your feathers bend a bit. So you'd have to know your tension and how to play it. Okay. So now I'm just going to wrap the dubbing fur, sort of like the thorax part of the dry fly, from the hook from the wing post towards the eye. And as you notice, I'm lifting the hackles out of the way, building up the front end, what I would consider the thorax of a fly, as I get towards the eye of the hook. Just want to finish this up. Leaving a spot so that I can now whip finish. And watch when you whip finish. I pulled up the feathers. Sometimes you don't even have to do that because those fibers will get out of your way, but I just lifted them up out of habit. So that's the traditional way of tying the parachute Cahill, light Cahill. While I'm switching, are there any questions?
Somebody noticed that it didn't appear that we used the hair stacker on the cattail. We're curious as to why.
The hair stacker was used when I was filming this. The issue is that I have to move my camera off site to do that. The hair for the for the calf tail and the hair for this one here that I'm doing next were all stacked.
And when you were building the dam in front of the post, you didn't use any specific knots or anything. That was just
No, it's just a thread dam, and that will hold it up. Just trying to. All right. All right. So the next one. This is my favorite way of tying parachutes, and that is whip finishing the hackle to the wing post. Oh, what's going on here? Got a little flutter. Okay. Can you all see that, Chris?
I can see the purple haze, yes.
All right. So the materials, let me stop it here. I'm using a Dirichi 1170 dry fly hook. The thread, I'm using a purple 6.0. The tail, I'm using moose body hair, and that is stacked. The wing post is white calf body hair, stacked. And the hackle, I'm using brown and grizzly mixed, and the whole body is purple thread. Once again, regular dry fly hook, I'm going to tie this behind the eye of the hook, one eye length back. I'm going to cut the tag off, the excess. And now I'm going to get ready to put my thread. And as once again, it's going to be in the 60% or even 2/3 mark. This is white calf body hair. It's measured to the shank of the hook. It has been stacked, and I'm moving it to the tie-in point. A couple of good wraps. Go back just a bit. And then I'm going to trim the butts off. The videos for these flies will be on the video library on the website by the end of the week. So once again, I always like to put a wrap of thread around the base of the wing post. And you do that also with your polypropylene, your Antron yarn wings, just so that you have a nice base to tie your hackle onto. Now, since this is going to be tied to the wing post, you want to secure, I'm securing a brown and grizzly to the far side of the wing post, because this is going to go in a different direction. Going to also, like I said, I lift them up and secure them upright to the wing post. And I'll trim the butts off. If there are any questions so far while I'm waiting?
The one I just received was, can you wrap thread post counterclockwise or clockwise, or again, is that based on your dominant hand?
It's based on your hand, and I was wrapping it, which way? Clockwise. So now I take moose body here. Don't need a lot. There's probably about 10 pieces there. Measure it to the shank of the hook, and I'll switch hands and I'll secure it to the bend of the hook. Loose wraps in the beginning and go tight as you go towards the wing post. If you do it tight at the bend of the hook, it will okay, what's going on here? It will flare on you. So then I'm going to take the butts of the moose body here and trim them off. And not that I want to use an excuse, but I have a camera that's a video camera that's 6 inches away from this fly, and I'm reaching over the camera to do all of this because I do want to make sure that everybody has it from the tire's perspective. So then I just do the whole body in purple thread. And one of the important parts is tying it and wrapping behind the wing and having it in front of the wing hanging over. You had a question, Chris?
Yeah, is there a like a trick that you have for gauging the height of the post, maybe in terms of the hackle, or is it just based off of the length when you're initially measuring it?
It's all based on the shank of the hook. All my proportions are based from the shank of the hook. Okay? So if this was if I was using poly yarn, I can get away with cutting the tips off. But since this is a hair, I do not want to cut the tips off. I want to have that aesthetic look to it, have everything nice and flowing. In all honesty, I like a pretty fly too. Okay. Any question? Is that the question? Okay.
Which side of the hackle would you say would you have facing down?
Facing down would be the dull side. I want the shiny side up so that it cups the water. Okay.
Excellent.
So now I lift the thread up, I put it behind the wing post, and I lay it in front because I'm going to tie this off at the wing post, not at the eye. Other people like to wrap both hackles at the same time. I want to do one at a time. So I take the brown and I'm just going to wrap each hackle underneath itself. And this is a lot of practice when you're doing parachutes. One of them, you start gauging the thickness that you want to have for your wing post. Too little, and I'm going to show you what happens if it's too little, but I dealt with it. The hackle will pull the wing post and the hackle will come off. If it's too thick, it's just not a pleasant sight to look at. And now to secure the brown hackle, I wrap underneath all the wraps, trapping the tip. Now I'll reach in and cut that tip off. Okay, so that's one secured to the wing post. Now I'm going to take the grizzly, and here's where I was having a little bit of problems. It kept hitting my camera. Those Ewing grizzlies are pretty long when you go to use them, and this is a size 12 hook.
And is it just because it may be more difficult to do so, but is there an advantage for doing one hackle at a time? Or is it for
Well,
layering?
one of the tricks that I learned from Eric Leiser was you want to get a good mix of brown and grizzly. He loved Adams flies, whether it be a parachute Adams or a traditional Adams, but he felt that when you tied the hackle, and his trick was not just to have them both facing each other, but have the dull sides facing each other, so that when you wrapped one, the other one would counter wrap. And here is where I'm just wrapping the thread around, and I'm going to trap that tip in, and I'm going to be able to cut that with just using the tip of my scissor. And if there are any fibers that are just, trapped, you can, at this point, you could look at them. You could see where you might want to just do a little bit of a trim to them. But my next step is I'm going to whip finish this right to the post. Other people would take this out of the vise and have the eye pointing down and do it. I find that learn to use how your tools work and get used to doing it at many different angles. So that's how I whip finish to the post, and then I'm going to trim some of these hackles that got out of a little out of hand that I might have trapped with my thread. But that's it. And one of the other things I would do with that is I would put a drop of head cement right down on the base of the wing post. Okay, let me. While I'm switching, any other questions?
Pretty sure we can keep on moving here.
Okay. Okay, let me share this one. All right, now, I just learned this back in November at the Fly Tying Symposium. It's a cute little trick. Would I do it all the time? No, no, I wouldn't, but it's one of these things that's a nice to know just in case you want to try it, or if you find that this is the easiest way. So let me start that, and that's using the UV resin to secure the hackles to the post. And this is on a clink hammer hook that I got. It's a Daiichi 1160. It's a clink hammer. It's designed strictly for clink hammers. And here I am using an olive thread, 8/0. Tail is done Zealon. Body, olive goose biots. If you can get a hold of turkey goose biots dyed olive, even better because they're longer. The thorax, I'm using peacock herl. For the hackle, I'm using a dun from a rooster. The wing post, I'm using orange Antron yarn so I could see it on the water better. As you get older, you want to be able to spot the fly on the water better. And to secure the hackle, I'm using Solarise Bone Dry to secure the hackle. So this is what it looks like. This is a clink hammer hook, and I'm going to put my thread right behind the eye of the hook. As you notice, this is where the dry fly part of the fly would be. This would be like the emerger part as it's trying to get out of its trailing shock. So I'm going to cut the tag off. I'm going to take some orange Antron yarn, and I'm not worried about length on this because I could trim that at any time because it doesn't have fine tips. So here is where you could do whatever you want, however you want, how long you want it for all of your visibility. So now I'm just going to trim that off of there from the straight edge part. Once again, I'm going to put a thread jam right in front of it. It's going to stand it up. And now I'm going to put a couple of wraps in around the yarn for my Hackle's feather.
And you don't want too many wraps there because obviously you want that parachute fly look to it.
Correct.
But also enough to secure your hackles.
Correct. So what I did was I put the tail on. All it is just a couple of fibers, and then I wrap the goose biot around. Whenever you wrap a goose biot, you have to make sure that there's two colors to it. You have a dark edge. You want to make sure that dark edge is on the outside, so when you wrap it, you get that segmentation. And like I said, this video will be on the video library by the end of the week, or if not by Monday. So I'm going to start securing the hackle, and this is once again, it's a size 14 hook. I'm going to secure it in front of the wing post, put a couple of wraps behind it. Once again, it's on the side closest to me, and I'm going to secure this to the wing post. And I'm not worried as much on where it's going to be or how it's going to be with this fly, and you'll see why. And then I'll just trim the stem off. And then for the thorax, I'm going to tie in two peacock curls, peacock curl. And of course, they like to break on me too, so don't think that you're the only one that it happens to. They break with me also when I go to wrap them, and I use a hackle pliers for that. That one broke, but I'm just gonna, I don't need a lot of it. So I'll put my hackle pliers in, and I'm gonna wrap it as if it was a dry fly hackle. As you can see, the herl likes to stand up perpendicular from the shank when you do this. Other people have just wrapped it, twisted it together and wrapped it. It kind of mashes that those herls down, but it gives a great durability. So you just try which is best for you. And now to get a nice fuller body, I'm going to wrap a second herl through. This is also the technique when you are wrapping herl butts on a salmon, full dress salmon fly, whether it be peacock herl or ostrich herl. By doing this, you get a nice look on your fly if you're looking to do salmon flies. So this is a good salmon fly technique wrapping also. And then I'm going to secure that right at the eye of the hook. And now I'm going to whip finish. Now I'm going to take a little bit of bone dry, put it to the shaft of the wing post, and I'm going to take my UV light and light it up, and that's going to be hard. So just think about how this is going to wrap around really nice. Also, you could, instead of like hitting it at that point, you could leave it wet and do it, and then hit the light after everything is wrapped in. But I wanted to show you that all you need to do is just wrap it around, you know, good couple of wraps, 5-6 times if need be, or whenever the hackle you run out, like I just did. I'm going to take the bone dry again, and I'm going to let it slide down the post. What's happening is it's sliding down and it's soaking into the stem. Then I take the UV light, cure it, take my hackle pliers off, and now I'll cut the tip off. See, it's not going anywhere anymore. It's really locked into place. So there, and then I'm going to trim the post to a size that I like. And just to show you underneath how it looks from the top, that's any fibers that got in the way, because Antron yarn is all over the place sometimes, but that's really it. Any questions about that while I switch to showing you how I fished it?
I think we can go to fishing it real soon here. We did have a quick question. I'm pretty sure the answer was to better disperse the materials and better weave them, but why one hackle you tie clockwise and the other counter?
Okay, and it depends on where you're securing the hackle to. Counterclockwise, I did it to the shank of the hook so that the fibers folded out of my way, and clockwise, I did it to the post so that when I whip finished it, the fibers folded in a different direction. So that's basically the two different things. Now, I was hoping, I did this last night. I was out at the local creek. I ran out there as fast as I could to get an hour out to test the clink hammer. But when you fish the clink hammer, and this is how I fished it, not only is the clink hammer out there, but I tied another 2 feet of mono to the bend of the hook, and I tied a sulfur beadhead nymph to it. So I'm fishing 2 flies at the same time. So it was a little fun. All you guys that just think about trout fishing, you might, I find that this was a lot of fun, just being out there. The creek is not even a mile away from me. I drove over there, got into the park, and right away was into fish. In fact, Chris, this is where we were the other day when we were there. So
Oh, yeah, I
here
remember.
it was, a nice little bass decided that, as people keep saying, trout flies, this is a insect that it's imitating, and the bass took the nymph. And honestly, those are barbless hooks. I just couldn't get, for some reason, couldn't get a grip, and he wanted to get out of my hand quick. And then, you know, as you just drifted on a nice glassy water, you could see right away that when the fish takes, you could feel them. They hit like monsters, and you catch a nice little bluegill. Okay, everybody, that's it for my presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Are there any more questions?
What's your preference for UV materials?
I have tried a ton of them. I've tried, and I hate to use other people's names, but I'll use the name that I like. Solaris has been the best. It doesn't dry. It dries immediately. It doesn't. It's not tacky. They have different viscosities, which is really good. You go from Bone Dry Plus, which comes out like water, to Bone Dry, which is just a little bit thicker than that. And then you got your thin, your medium viscosity, and your thick. And then they even have a thick that is glows in the dark. And now they came out with multiple colors. The product is by far the best to use. And I want to give a warning. Anytime you're using any type of chemicals, you must be careful. They do have on there, be careful. Your eyes, make sure you don't touch your eyes. There are people like myself and Tim Flagler, where we developed a sensitivity to it. So whenever you use UV resins, make sure you have a fan blowing away from your body to the fly, keeping the vapors and fumes away from you. And also, if you really want to, put on, glove protection if you don't wash your hands right away. And I think in this day and age, we better start learning to wash our hands even more. So that's my spiel on UV resins. In fact, I'm writing a book on how to tie flies with UV resins. Hopefully, I can get it done by the end of the year. Any other questions?
No, we covered everything.
Great. Well, everybody, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I hope that we're going to take I'm going to take the summer off, and I'm going to start developing some more online presentations. People have asked me about foam flies. It's a great way to tie flies and catch numerous types of fish, whether it be saltwater or just our bass and panfish. So, I just want everybody to enjoy what we do. And once again, I am going to say, please, if you're not a member and you've enjoyed our presentations, please become a member. I would and trust me, I use the Facebook page, the Fly Tying Group Facebook page. I'm always posting videos. I am very easy to get a hold of. Email me. I will respond. So I'd like to thank you everybody for coming out tonight. And please be safe. Okay? Thank you, everybody.